Hey, everybody, welcome to our weekly podcast. Excuse me, of business, money, and Christianity. We're a podcast, a financial podcast from a faith perspective. Today, we're going to be talking about our attributes in being more successful. And there's things that a lot of times when we go into business, we design things based on what we want instead of what the consumer wants. And really, this affects all areas of business, whether you're in a sales position, whether people come to your store because it's retail or whatnot. We're trying to satisfy the needs of the individual. I was listening to somebody talk about their business the other day, and they had a potential client. And my goodness, the things that they were saying was, yeah, I don't do that. Yeah, I don't. They had all these negatives instead of trying to solve the problem that the client wanted. And they were more interested in what they wanted to do, how they wanted to do it, than making a sale. I put down four critical things that we need to learn in business if we are going to be uh, successful. Number one, I put is effective communication. There's a reality in the world that we live in, people can't hear. Now, I'm not talking about auditory noise going into their eardrums. I'm saying it's hard for people to really understand what's being said. I was in um, a conversation, a business conversation, the day of this recording, and there was a piece of paper given to an individual of which I explained how to do it. It came back, and I'm like, "What? Why do you have this in here?" Well, I didn't think it went, but I thought I would try. I said, but I told you what goes in there. Yeah, but it, I don't know. It just, we put it in. Okay, you got to take it out. It doesn't work. Now go back, take this. Now, the number that goes here, you're, there's a three-part number that equaled the total. There was three lines. So you could break it down and put the three lines or just put it in on one of the lines, a full amount. And I said, I asked him a question about the mathematics. And I said, okay, what you did is you've got it included here, and you've got it included here, and you've got it included here. You either have to subtract these out or put the total up there and leave those blank. So it comes back to me. And they reduced the number on the first line and put zeros on the second and third line. No, it doesn't add up again. What is the reality of this, of what I'm trying to communicate? If somebody can't understand what we're saying, even though it may be clear, it may just be clear in our minds, it may be delusional in their minds. It can be one of two things: is we've got to make sure they understand. How do we do that? Well, one thing is we could ask questions back. Explain to me what we're going to do. Do you understand what I said? Okay. Do you have any questions on it? No. Okay. So you understand that this and this is what will happen? Yes. I've heard people talk about. In fact, there was a recent story, it just kind of popped in my mind, but I can't remember the subject. But they went to have it done, and they said, "Well, nobody told me." It's like it's written right there. Oh, so people don't read. I'm guilty of that. I've read texts that come in, and I read the first line, think I understand what it is. I respond, and they say, "Well, what about this?" I'm thinking, "Well, what about what?" I go back and read the text, and it was a two-part question. Effective communication seems to be going downhill. Can we understand it? Can we decipher it? And will it be carried out, or can we transact the whatever business transaction can we transact it to make it work? Uh, Effective communication is the number one thing that we've got to make sure that we accomplish. The other thing that we have a problem with, we explain something to somebody, but many people today lack critical thinking skills, the ability to think through a process. I know here in the United States, I can't speak for other countries of the world, but here in the United States, we are the most marketed to people in the world, and the marketing is about how you feel. We've lost critical thinking abilities because now so many people are making decisions based on how they feel about something. And so, if somebody's an emotional thinker and you assign a task to them to expand your business or whatnot, they can't think through the process. They're going to make decisions based on feelings, and feelings are so temporary. The other problem I see here in the United States, I would imagine it's around the world, is there's a difference between short-term thinkers and long-term thinkers. A long-term thinker is going to take a problem that is faced right now, come up with a critical thinking solution to it, but how will it affect us down the road? Many people just look at, how do I get this problem fixed so I don't have to deal with it today? And they just exchange it for uh, another problem. So it puts us as business owners into a quandary of how we are going to manage the elements of our business, because virtually every business, you have to communicate with somebody about something. Are we communicating effectively? Are we talking to somebody that has critical thinking skills? If they don't, how do we recalibrate? Maybe it's asking a question. What are you going to do if they say no? In fact, I was on a phone call today. I was making some hotel reservations. I'm flying out of the country here in a few weeks. And they have here in the United States a thing called park and stay, or stay and park. And basically, what it is, you're flying out of the airport tomorrow, you come in a day early, you stay the night, and then they let you park your vehicle in their parking lot for a small charge. And they have airport shuttle, they take you to and fro and everything like that. And so I looked up online through a company, which they're going to get paid, commission on it. And I knew what the price was. So I thought I'd call the company directly, see if I could get a better deal. Well, they came back more expensive. And so I figured, well, I'll just go back through the other one. And they said, so I said, well, no, that's out of my budget. I'm going to, I'll just keep looking around. I said, well, I've got access to all of our properties in the area. Would you allow me to check and see if I could get a better price? I said, sure. What's your budget? And I told him, he says, okay, let me work with that. Hang on just a minute. And after a couple of minutes, he came back and he was a little bit over my price. Before he was like $150 over my price. And this time he's like about $40 over my price, but it was a better hotel and it was closer to the airport. So I went ahead and did it. But uh, he had critical thing. Okay, you want to walk away, but let me solve your problem. Give me another chance to solve it. I answered your question based on how you asked the question, but give me another moment where I can figure it out. So the ability, if I'm talking to somebody who does not have critical thinking skills, I'm going to have to adjust and ask some questions. What if this happens? What are you going to do? What if this is the scenario? What are you going to do? To help them resolve problems so that they can make the sale, just as this young man, Daniel, did for me. Number three is the element of something that my wife and I talk about frequently, because she doesn't have it, is the power of silence. Are you ever in that moment where you've asked a question or they've made a statement, and now just being quiet is actually the most powerful thing to do? I was in a conversation one time and a person was trying to set me up. So they were talking, they were telling everything they wanted to tell me. And then they came to this assumption they had about me. And so they phrased it in a way, and I just kept silent. Well, they couldn't handle the silence. After 10, 15 seconds, they just started talking again, and we got through that hurdle and didn't even have to address it. Uh, if a question is asked, you don't have to answer the question. Or if you're the one asking the question, then what we used to say when I was in direct sales is that he who speaks first loses. So you make an offer, you make a negotiation, you make, okay, well, I can do this. It goes quiet. Okay, now silence is hard for most people, but he who speaks first loses. Well, and the one I was just talking about, the other person, even though they tried to bait me to come in, I didn't take the bait and I stayed silent. They kept going, and so they didn't have control over the conversation. The other thing is the confidence. A lot of people today don't have confidence in what they're doing. And if you're trying to sell something, if you're trying to make something happen, you're either going to go cheap on your price, cheaper than you want to, or um, the person's not going to buy from you because they don't think you really know what you're talking about. I was listening to a podcast the other day, and the guy was talking about some business coaching that he does. I do business coaching, and I charge $350 an hour. And so I'm watching him, and he's got a large business, which he does this. And then he told what he charges for business coaching, $4,000 an hour. And I'm thinking, I charge $350 an hour. Now, there's such a gap in that. I got to check my confidence. Would I be confident in charging somebody $4,000 an hour? I wouldn't. So I would have a hard time selling that amount. But now it comes back to me. Why am I so? Why would I not be willing to do that? So based on the coaching that I do, one, I don't think it's a fair price, so I wouldn't go that high. But let me talk about $500 an hour, $600 an hour. I've got a client that's been with me now for, I think we're in our third year, and we're in our fourth year. We completed 3 years, and every year her business doubled from the prior year. Well, I would say that was some pretty good coaching. Was it worth the money I charged her? Absolutely. I mean, she made an extra $150,000, had 10 sessions with me, paid $1,000 for 150. I actually could have charged her $1,000 and it would still be worth it. But now I got to look at my confidence level. Do I believe I'm really worth it? And this confidence level will dictate how much we charge our clients. Am I really willing do I have the value of that? If we're confident that we can bring the value, then we should be confident to establish a price that works on that value. So we need to look at our ability to talk with people, our ability to think through problems and come up, and that can be learned, that can be practiced, and get things in with the power of silence, build our confidence in what we're doing, and then price accordingly. As I said earlier, one of the things, if we don't have confidence, we'll drop our price when a person starts balking and thinking that, well, maybe I'm not going to do this. We'll drop our price to gain them. And so the individual that was booking the park, the stay-in park for me, he didn't drop the price. He just looked for a facility that had a better price. And so instead of staying over at this hotel, I'm staying at this one, which is actually a better hotel and indoor parking. And so everything would be good on that. So the fourth one is teamwork. A lot of people have the concept that nobody can do it as good as me. Maybe a true concept, but you only have 24 hours in a day. And the only way to expand what you can do is expand your time. And the way that we expand our time is through other people. And so building a team is a very critical element in our life. And then with the team, we have to be able to delegate. And people have a hard time with this. And so delegation becomes a very powerful component. President Ronald Reagan of the United States back in the 1980s said something. He said, trust but verify. You need a team to build a team that you can trust, but then you need to make sure everything's happening the way you want it. Because we have this inability to understand, which I talked about in effective communication. We may have somebody that hit a problem, they couldn't solve it, they made an alternative decision, and it wasn't the right one. We need to stay on top of what's going on within the realm of our business. This all comes to our personal skill, and all of these things can be developed. They all have the ability that if we just practice them and learn to do them, that we can incorporate them in our lives. So I want to thank you again for stopping by Business, Money, and Christianity, a financial podcast from a faith perspective. Come back and see us next week. Make a comment, ask us a question, like it, subscribe, whatever is on the platform that you're receiving it on. And we just appreciate being able to give you tidbits in life to make life work better. I'll see you again next week.